Welcome to the best Facebook ads tutorial in 2025 for beginners, full tutorial. All right, hey guys, so I'm just in a test business manager account. Firstly, as a beginner, you'll need to make a business manager. You just go to type in Google Facebook business manager, create a business manager, and it helps set it up. It'll request things like your ad account, your time zone, and help set it up for you. By default, a lot of the time you'll be taken to a home section where you want to go. Where we're going to start with is the settings in the business manager. This is the most important part in the business manager, aside from the ads manager. Once you have this set up, you very rarely look at this. So I'm going to go through the main key areas that you need to be aware of. One, you've got business information. So this is here where you can add, various things like your business information and get your business verified, especially as you build out your business. You can verify a lot of all of this. Obviously, a number of things here I have to blur out. I strongly recommend making sure you have two-factor authentication turned on, and you'll have a default limit of 5 ad accounts. As I said, spend more money, you'll get more ad accounts because Facebook allows that because you're a legitimate business, and you can verify your business, which just adds more authenticity and you get greater support from Facebook. I strongly recommend that you do this and check this once every quarter because there's always a few little changes just to keep you on top of it. As a key little tip, I've always found that Facebook making sure with security and being on top of it is a very undervalued thing. I've had compromised ad accounts, I've had compromised business managers, I've been suspended because of various activity where they're changing in the algorithm. Many people have had this as you get into Facebook ads and you talk to other media buyers or people in that space, you will find that this is a very common issue. So I strongly recommend looking there. Here, the other thing you got is people. So as you can see, I've added myself and one of my team members for the sake of this tutorial, and you can control their permissions, right? So if I want to add someone, I can invite someone. I will choose their email address. So let's put, okay, you can give them temporary access, of course, as well. Maybe it's a contractor or something. And this is here where you can, most of the time you won't use apps and integrations, but if you're running like a SaaS thing, that's where you would look at that. And you can look at advanced options. So do you want to give them full control? Do you not? I'm just going to start with basic. And then you start seeing your assets, right? So you can see I've linked a number of assets from my various pages and stuff. And all you do is you just click it and then you choose the relevant ones. In most cases, if you want someone just to have access to it, you just focus on the business tools only. Don't give, unless you trust them, full control over everything. Especially the main thing that I would be worried about is your Facebook page and Instagram account and ad account. If your catalog, app or pixel get damaged or whatever, those can be repaired most of the time. But when it comes to things like ad account, someone could overspend. So you just want to go through each of these and you will see that these are various accounts that done various testing on in the past. Okay, it's the same process. You just choose that and then you choose the relevant permission. So if you're hiring, let's say like a media buyer, you might want them to manage campaigns, view performance and the creative hub, but you don't want them to manage it maybe, okay? So you can lock it down. So checking user permissions, and you can control this after the fact as well. So I'm gonna close this so you can check details about what they then have access to, and then you can manage it as well if things ever change. So that way you're always set there. So there's no need to be worried about that. You can easily add, remove, or modify at any stage. So if you want to assign new assets, you can see them all here as well. Now you've got your Facebook page, which is your Facebook page. You've got your ad account, which is where you spend your money. In your ads manager, you've got your catalog if you're running an e-commerce brand. You've got your app if you're generally like an integration or a SaaS brand. You want to make an app and pull APIs. That's for app developers. Pixel, everyone has that. You'll have your pixel and just different data to different demographics. So that's a very important one. We're going to go a bit into that. You've got your Instagram account, which is where you add your Instagram account, and I'll go through this in a second. Offline events, let's say you're running like a show or something, you might have offline events. I've personally never done that, so I can't attribute to that, so I've never done it. Domains is where you can actually add your business domain and verify it. It helps make sure your content is more verified and can stop unscrupulous behavior from other third parties. Business create folders, this is something you would run once you're growing. You might have a team that uploads creatives regularly, and then the media buyers pull from that, and you might make, it's just a simple folder structure where images and videos, right? And then you've got your data sets, which is very much the same as Pixel. I don't know why they have both. They've sort of renamed that. Partners is if you're an agency, or if you're connecting to an agent. This is basically where you can see a third-party partner that integrates into your business manager. So if you're an agency, you might request access to a business manager. If you're the one that's being requested access, you will see it there. System users are things like where it has a default integration, let's say like the Shopify and Facebook or Meta integration, you will see those things there. Pages is where, again, you see pages and you can see controlled assets. People, partners. So again, people are people within your business. Partners are usually third parties like agencies and various other services such as that. And then you've got connected assets. So you can connect assets to your page as well. So if I were to have a look, do I have any connected? Yes, my Instagram. So you can integrate your Instagram, WhatsApp, for instance, over time, Threads, and you will see that all here as well. There's a number of ways you can connect it. Sometimes you actually have to go into your Facebook account, into the Facebook page, into the page settings, and do it there too. You can actually open up your Facebook page from there as well. Then you've got your ad accounts. This is where it's very important that you assign this and control this. One of the things very, very important that I recommend. And you can open up the ads manager straight from here as well. You can deactivate and add up to 5, in my case 5, but you can add up to a lot more. If you're an agency, you'll see a lot of ad accounts here because you're requesting access. You can have unlimited requested access, but in terms of a business manager creating ad accounts within an ad account, you can by default have up to 5. One moment. 1, 2, 3. Then you've got business asset groups. You don't really need to use this. Is basically, again, if you're like using an agency, you can actually put all your assets into one thing, and then it allows you to bulk give permissions basically, but you don't really need it. Apps is, as I said, apps. If you're an app provider, you're integrating with Facebook and want to pull data from it for whatever purpose that is, that's where you do that. Instagram account, this is where you request. You can create or normally request an Instagram account. I generally recommend that you create. You should create it just on Facebook and then claim it here is the best way to do it. And in fact, that's how it defaults. You've got your WhatsApp accounts as well. That's another important one. WhatsApp's become more and more important. By connecting that, you can connect it to your Facebook page, and you can also run ads with it. You can have it in your ads, I should say, where you're actually able to get people to contact you via WhatsApp as well. Generally, I don't do that for my e-com brands. Generally, what you want to do is send them to your website, and then they will contact you via either email, your live chat, or if you've got various contact details there. That's what I generally do, because like on Debutify, I have the WhatsApp little widget, and they can contact through that as well. Really handy. You got your data sources. Now, I'm not going to go through everything, but these are the main ones. So billing and payments, very straightforward. You want to add your billing and payment. Credit card, I'll get to that, pardon me, in a moment. You've got catalog. So if you're running Shopify, you can integrate your catalog directly through the Facebook ads sales channel. It's free if you go on the Shopify App Store, and it'll push your catalog, and it's dynamic, and you barely have to touch it, okay? But this is where you can connect it, and then you can look at your various data sources, right? So if I were to open this up, you can see that I've, as a test example, this is where I've got my catalog, I've got my settings, you can name it, you can rename it, you can look at your items, you can see your data sources integrated too. Your data source is important because that allows you to then do what's called DPA ads, which I'm very big on, for example, and events as well, same sort of thing. But so, you know, your data source is from Shopify, and your events is your pixel essentially that allows it to fire. You can make sets as well, and sort of go from there. You've got your shops as well. Your shop allows you to then push your catalog to your Facebook and Instagram at the moment. And I believe they're adding in WhatsApp and then Threads, but basically allows you to have shoppable links in your Instagram and Facebook very, very easily for people as you build a following to get organic sales, which who doesn't want that? So once you get that set up, that's a very important thing about why I wanted to bring that up. Up here as well, you can see you got all these settings. I'm going to just go back to the business settings now, trying to keep this as simple as possible here. Then you've got your offline events, as I said before. Custom conversions, don't need to worry about that. That's if you're doing custom conversions where you'll have default things like view content, add to cart, and you can make a custom one around a specific number of variables, but you very rarely ever use that, right? I don't see anyone use that, if I'm honest. Requests, if you get a request, a lot of the time, let's say like a partner request, you can see them there. That's a relatively newer feature. You got your brand safety and suitability. This is where you got your domain, so you can add your domain to stop others stealing, because that happens as you grow a brand. So that's why they have brand safety, especially for bigger brands. As I've said, billing and payments, you just want to put in your credit card. I recommend putting a monthly limit in of what your budget for your ads would be as a security measure, and add a backup payment method. And usually the backup payment method I recommend is PayPal. So I use credit card by default and then PayPal as a backup. The reason is sometimes credit cards, you might hit your limit, whatever it might be. Having PayPal as a backup usually just circumvents that. I've just found that just from experience, just a little tip that I generally do. You got your Meta verified, so you can verify your page and so on and so forth as well. News pages, add partnerships, so you can actually have, add partnerships. So you got your partnership hub. I have a video on that here. We're talking about the future of Facebook and things that you should be aware of when it comes to this. Facebook have streamlined a lot of this. Ad partnerships are something that will be very, very important. You got your ad account settings, your business manager language settings, business assets, notifications, and then just as I said, check your security setting, center, 2FA, backup. So if you have a look here, it just gives you some tips. I recommend doing it all. It's just better security. Facebook does get compromised a lot. They've improved this a lot, but it's just a little tip. Okay, so now that we've sort of done that, I just wanted to now go into the main area, which is your ads manager. So within the ads manager, this is where you'll spend most of your time. So you want to go create, okay? And this is where you got different ones. So you can go a new ad set in a campaign. So if you want to do it that way, most of the time, if you want to make a new ad set within a campaign, you'll just duplicate it, modify it. That's sort of what most people do. By default, you've got auction or reservation. I've never done reservation. So default 99% of ad accounts will be reservation, auction. Awareness is more for established large brands that just want awareness for some campaign. Traffic, if you just want to run traffic to your website, like Instagram profile or an event. Engagement, when you want engagement on your ads, messages and stuff as well. Leads is for businesses that, let's say like you're an air conditioning business and you want more leads to do more air conditioning jobs. You can collect leads straight within Facebook or via third-party tools. App promotion, again, is for people to install your app, let's say like on the Google App Store, for example, or the Apple Store, you can run that. And then most of the time, most of us here are running sales campaigns. You'll find that the main two that people run is either leads or sales, 95% of it. The other three are really not that useful in the scheme of things. And speaking to Meta Ads, my representative, they said the same thing. Most Shopify, it's e-commerce, and then SaaS brands running ads, so they do sort of leads, app promotion, one of those. But even a lot of SaaS brands mainly just sort of go sales a lot of the time, unless you're really high ticket and you want to go leads as well. But anyway, you'll know those sort of objectives there as well, and that's where you can see you got conversions. You got catalog sales, Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp, and you can even have calls. You can have a greater look into all of these, but I'm just going to go into sales for today's example. This is where you can give it a campaign name, so test campaign. You can apply a template, but that's something down the line. You got your default score, which is always 100. As you narrow it down, I have other videos in the channel. Don't be too stressed about the campaign score. It's just Facebook just saying you're running best practices. In other words, you're giving them as much money as possible. But that's not how you should probably run things. You want to run sales, and you can add a campaign spending limit as well. So again, this is if you're running at a campaign spending level, or you can run it at an ad set. So for this example, if I want to say $20, you can see that only let me $100. and it's taking 15 minutes, right? So you want to Advantage Plus catalog ads are getting bigger. Drive sales using your product information by showing relevant products to the right people. I've only started testing this, but I've been big on catalog. All right, so then you've got, as I said, campaign budget. So I'm going to remove this in this case. You've got your campaign budget or your ad set budget. Entirely up to you, of course, as well. Based on that, I recommend in the beginning at least $20 a day would be where I would do it. And if you're in the beginning, I would do it as an ad set so you have more control, right? But that's where you can sort of set that. You always want to leave it as highest volume. You've got different ones here. ROAS is one you want to test when you're spending a good amount and scaling, and bid cap as well. But in the beginning, you want to just go for highest volume. In other words, the most amount of conversions. Budget scheduling is where you can schedule it, but you don't really want to schedule it. The only little tip is when you run a new campaign or ad set, make sure it is running for the next business day, okay, in your ad account time zone. That's the only thing you really need to worry about there. Otherwise, don't need to. Audience segment reporting allows you to, once you have a seasoned pixel, to have an existing audience. You can define your ad accounts, audience segments in the advertiser settings. I have videos on that. You can go in your advertiser settings and look at that. Most of the time, you don't need that until you're spending at least $500 a day and have at least 3 months worth of data. Because to have an engaged audience, you have to have clicks or people adding to cart. But for an existing customers, you need to have existing customers. And that's where you basically make custom audiences. And I'll go into custom audiences soon as we sort of further discuss that. And special ad categories is if you're running financial services, employment, housing, social, and that can that will then come into things like your what's called CPM, cost per millennia. It'll then determine things like your cost per click, your click-through rate. 99% of us don't use that, so we don't need to worry about that. Then we go into the ad set. Within the ad set, again, you can give it a name. So ad set 1. By default, most of us will be going website, wanting to run a maximum number of conversions. Choose your pixel and you choose your event, which your event will be purchase. Okay, just go for that. So you're aiming for a purchase. So you're choosing your data set, you're choosing your goal, which is you want conversions, you're choosing your data set, which is a pixel basically, they've just renamed it, and you're choosing your ideal goal, which is purchase, right? Different conversions can be classified as different things, so you might want a lot of add to carts and you might then choose that conversion event, but most of us, you just go purchase and keep it simple. Your conversions API will be set up once you set up the Shopify to Facebook integration as well. You can use third-party tools to further amplify this, but for a beginner, I strongly recommend not needing that. So I'm going to close that if it lets me. You don't want your cost per result, and you can apply what's called a value rule. So the value rule is only helpful once you have, again, some established data. So we're not going to get into that, but basically it allows you to weigh your demographics, age, gender, location as to how ad sets should spend it. You can make 5 rules and automatically say, if I'm targeting 18 to 44-year-old women, men and women, then I want it to default more 50% of that towards women as opposed to men, right? In a jewelry niche, whereas in maybe the lawn mowing niche would be 50% more to men than women because men are more likely to be the ones that are going to buy. I have videos on that. You can go check that out in the channel as well. Now, attribution settings is something I'm very big on. You've got standard, which basically just is a very static way where you get a conversion. It shows you incremental. It uses a lot of sophisticated knowledge to show you the actual results over a longer period of time. So it gives you a more holistic view. So it's a very strong thing that I recommend people should be looking at, because now that we're moving into this day and age with AI and everything that's helping us, we can get a better view, and it's especially going to help performance marketers, media buyers, and beginners to be able to get a better snapshot of their business, whereas before you really couldn't. So incremental attribution is something I recommend, and it's just something that's very important. Can start as standard, but I actually default to, especially from a new brand, I'm going to start it as incremental attribution. This is where, again, you've got your budget and schedules. This is where, again, you will basically set it to the next business day at midnight. Whatever the time zone is, whatever that is, set it to the next day. I don't set an end date. You can set an end date for different campaigns, but normally what you do is you just turn it off, right? There's a little dial, turn it off and on. Okay, you got your ad account spending limit, so you can set an ad account spending limit as well. But again, you more do that in the overview dashboard, which I'll get to. I'm just sort of showing you the settings. Now your audience, this is where I have a whole video on targeting. You can go check that out here. But to further add to this, you have you can control your countries, so you can include or exclude countries. So if I wanted to include Australia and make sure United States, or let's say I can say no United States. You can also narrow it down further. You can only exclude cities. You can include this location, for example, and you can even narrow down by radius. So I could drop a pin there, and it usually takes a moment. Don't know why that's not working. It can be a bit finicky, but I've never really used it. You really just target a country is what you find most of the time, and that's what I generally recommend that you do. Some countries like Australia, you might need to look at some review requirements. Just look at them. 99% of the time, it's something to worry about. It's just something that there's a lot more regulation. And this is here where as well you can look at your minimum age. So you can set that. It goes 18 to 65 plus. It breaks it down to 18 to 24, 25, 34, 35, 44, 45, 54, 55, 64, 65 plus. You can add custom audience exclusions. If you want to do all of this, this is where you can get Facebook to suggest you an audience, which is what it wants you to do, or you can further limit your reach and go switch setup, and it basically goes to the old way where you have more control, where now you can control the ages if you know your ages. So for instance, my new brand is actually going to be, I'm starting it as for 15 to 44, and I will narrow that down. Okay. So, switching to recommended audiences, and that's where you can see that the score has dropped because Facebook want me to spend more money. All genders, you can choose men and women, but you can only choose between the two if you have at least 18, all right? Because they can't get the data of people that are under 18 due to privacy and consent laws. Then you've got custom audiences. Now this is where in the custom audience manager, we'll go into that. You can make custom audiences, okay? And so this is only when you have existing data, or if you have another business manager and you have a shared custom audience, you can share it into here. You can, like the same with countries, do inclusions and exclusions. So let's say you have 5 products. You only want to make sure it's one product that this remarketing ad goes to, because there's what's called remarketing, which is you market to someone, they engage with your ad or business to some extent, you can remarket to them. We've all had that. And that you could say, I want to make a custom audience that has these 4 products and another one that has this one. So you might say that I want to include this product and exclude all of these. Now there's a number of ways you can do it. You can do that within the custom audience, or you can do that within the ads manager in the ad set. My preference is I prefer to do it in the ads manager because you spend most of your time here. So that's why my preference is like that. Both ways work the exact same, just a matter of what you feel best about, right? But that's where you can use custom audiences, and you also got what's called lookalike. So when you make a custom audience, if it has enough data, you can make a lookalike. So using that collected pool of data, Facebook can use its algorithm to then say, I want to make a lookalike that is like this audience, is like this custom audience, and I want to use that for new marketing opportunities. These audiences do it quite well because you're already using your existing data to then find more customers like that to grow your business. You got your detailed demographics, so you can add, detailed targeting. This is where you can add demographics, interests, or behaviors. Most of the time, you're going to add interests. And generally, as a tip, I always say you want to type in Google top 10 brand in that space, whatever brand you're in, top 10 famous people in that space, ideally, top 10, like let's say famous pets that might be in that space, or magazines work well. Between those, usually you get a lot of big audiences because you want to aim at a large audience, and you can see your audience size here. The golden rule is usually 2 to 20 million in the beginning is what I generally do. And that works quite well. And you want it to be broad because your goal is that you're trying to find people for your business, and then you grow it over time and you narrow it down as things change. Then you've got does this ad set include financial products and services? Yes, no, otherwise ignore it, no stress. Then you've got placements. Placements you just leave on by default, right? Never really touch that, but this is where if you want, you can control all devices, mobile, desktop, if you want just iOS. This can strongly limit the reach of your ads, which is, again, not a bad thing, but I've just found that I never really do it. But you can see all the placements in a preview here, and you can open these and see the individual placements based on each category, okay? So that's where, if you want to narrow that down, for some people, they might only want to target Instagram, so you take out Facebook, right? So you can then take out the whole of Facebook, so you can do a whole platform, and so on and so forth as well, right? Then you've got, do you want to be included in skippable ads? Depending on the sensitive content of your brand, what you might want to be associated with, you might want to turn that off. So a live feed that might contain something that might tarnish your brand, you might want to turn that off, okay? Then you've got your brand safety and suitability. Again, these are all things that I've never really used, but that are there. Lastly, we've got your ad. This is what the customer sees. So ad test 1. Again, is this a partnership ad? Partnership ads, I'm going to be making a video on as I start doing partnership ads. But basically you can turn it on and you will see the partnership, and you can run it directly here, which is really cool. There's stats that say that these partnership ads usually get a 3 times ROAS as compared to others, because when you're working with a partner, they're basically an influencer with an established audience. People know them and people trust them a lot more, right? So it's all about trust. Then you choose your page. If you've set up your permissions, like what we saw in the settings, to the ad account, you should see connected. So in your ad account settings, you can connect your pay. I recommend you connect your Facebook, your Instagram, and as you can see, Threads as well. Once you connect them in your business settings, so under business settings, ad accounts, add those here, and then you can see them. If you don't see anything here, it's because the ad account hasn't gotten permission to these assets yet. But once you have it set, you don't really have to touch it. It's very straightforward. By default, you can also see that there too. So fantastic, done. That's a lot of the work done. So I want to create an ad. Do I want to use a post, Creative Hub mockup, whatever you want to do. You can manually upload a creative. Let's say you're using it from a third party. Let's say you've made an AI UGC. Advantage catalog ads, again, is if you've got your catalog connected, you can run Advantage catalog ads. They work quite well for established brands, especially fashion and stuff. It can work really, really well. And remarketing, that works really, really well too. But most of the time you'll go create an ad. You can choose flexible. We'll show you your ad in the format that we predict may be the best. I actually sort of find that I'm using that more now. Carousel collection, I don't use collection much. I use carousel, but I use Advantage Plus carousel. Single image or video, of course, as well. We're going to go through making just a test ad for this example. This is where but I wanted to show these settings. You've got your website URL. That should be the product page or the page you want people to go to. So copy and paste that into here, very important. We'll direct people to the most relevant page. You can turn that on, but I just want to focus on just one page. Your display link is you can actually change what that link looks like. Instead of this long sort of string, you can say dog collars instead of it saying dogs.com/collars. You know, it just looks neater. And this is here where, as I said, you can have call, WhatsApp, instant form. Instant form works really well for lead generation. WhatsApp can work quite well for lead generation too. So these are more lead generation for e-commerce. You don't really see many people doing it. You see them usually with like a shop now, call to action. And that's usually what you want to do. You've got instant experience where you can create custom ads where you might have like one video and a number of images with links underneath them. I've seen a number of those. That also works well. And they've got predefined templates. And then you've got a Facebook event. Again, if you're running like an event, let's say like a concert, that's where that would do quite well, where you have that connected and have that asset set up, right? So this is where you choose the destination, and then you've got your creative. You can set up the creative. Is it an image? Is it a video? Your event details. So again, if you're running like a concert, and then languages. So let's go through creating a creative. If it's going to let me. No. Okay. Not going to work that way. So let's choose an image then. This is where as well, sometimes it can be a bit buggy. We want to choose an image, so let's put the source as www.dogs.com. For the sake of this, I'm just not going to put promo codes, but they work well. That's relatively new as well. And you want to add your branding, text, tone, visual style. It can help you with all of this, where you can even add site links. So if any of you are familiar with Google Ads, this is pretty much the same thing, where you can have more ad space. And I recommend trying to use this for more ad space where you can, right? So, see more, preview URL, start shopping, etc. I'm not going to go through all of that today. This is where you choose your media. So if I want to choose this one, and then you get to see where the creative is placed, about how it's sit. Okay, so your focus should always be, and that's why vertical is most important, because reels are where you get, especially in e-commerce, most of your engagement. And that's just sort of in general now, reels are really, really, really important. Square is like for sort of desktop as well, for mobile and desktop, and this is really for like right-hand newsfeed on desktop. So I wouldn't be too stressed about that in the beginning, but if you change it to that, see how it just does that. So you might want to optimize it. You can replace it for that, so it looks best. If you can have it so that there's no lines around it, just an ad that, it looks more engaging, it looks more natural, right? So this is where you add your primary text. So this is a test, and you can add more options. So it'll basically just has, using the Meta AI, where, hey, fantastic, I want to tailor this variations to different persons. Okay, we don't have any. Okay, so let's turn that off. All right, so then we can choose these 5. Beautiful. I've got my primary text, and same with headline. I'm just going to choose these. You can put in whatever headline, and it'll excuse me, it'll automatically give you more variations, and you can customize it and do you like this or not, and sort of teach it a bit more over time as well, which is really, really, pardon me. Description is where you add a description of what you're selling, so like, what is the limited time offer, stock running low, check it out here. I recommend not saying things like, 50% off. I recommend just talking about the benefits of the product. Is it health, well-being, whatever that looks like, and adding that there as well. And then you got your call to action. And again, just choose the relevant call to action to your business. If you're running e-commerce, it's shop now. If you're running SaaS, sometimes it might be learn more. If you're running an app, play game, order now. If you're like a restaurant, subscribe again, sort of SaaS, watch more, apply, it depends on your business. But most of the time, just choose the relevant one. There's no use with the call to actions. You just want to choose the most relevant one. And this is where you got variations, because you want to make variations. You can see attractive male, and you can choose all of this, and you can generate new images. You can change the text. Again, most of the time you won't use this because you'll make creatives yourself, because Facebook does make decent creatives, but again, nothing beats making your own creative, because these tools are inherently limited, right? In our experiment campaigns with all ads and AI generators saw 11% CTR and 8% conversion rate lift, which is important, right? But again, I recommend using third-party tools, but for the sake of this example, we're just going to choose that, and you can add a logo and stuff as well. And again, this is where you've got your AI enhancements. Now, I've started using these, especially for images. The AI enhancements work well. For videos, not so much. You want to show products, though, works quite well. Overlays can work quite well as well, and you can customize all of these. So starting with the top, translate text is a very important one. 3D animation, especially if you're running an image animation as well, if you're running an image related creative. Add overlays, so you want to make a different overlay where, let's say that, there we go. So you can see that sort of overlay there as well. And you can just customize this. I don't use that one that often because I use more videos. The show products, it works quite well. I've definitely found that works quite well. You have to have your catalog connected. So that's why that one works quite well. And your visual top up, cropping image to fit more placement is an important one. Basically just tries to help use the placement better for you. Add your music if you want to add music. A lot of the time it'll be in your own creative. Text improvements, add feature headline using phrases from text options. that I found actually works well. And enhanced CTA, right? So this one's going to be a more important one where the CTA isn't just at the bottom, it's sort of at the, moves to the middle. It just helps with your click-through rate, right? Done. And now well, I don't know why that came up now. Now you can see all the previews, okay? So again, this is desktop, that's tablet, that's mobile, and that's right-hand column, okay? So you can see all these previews and what that sort of looks like if you want to tailor a specific creative for specific placements. Now, let's go now into the Ads Manager and talk about your custom columns and attribution settings. Let's get into that now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so now we're in the actual Ads Manager, and this is where, again, you see the overview. So we've got two last areas really that we're going to go today, custom audiences and this. So firstly, what you want to do is you can do custom columns. So by default, I've just named it 2. You can name it whatever. Very important as well, as you scale, you want to look at attribution. This allows you to see. So 1 day click is someone that clicks that might convert. 7 days, same thing, but over 7 days. 28 days, same thing, over 28 days. 1 day view. And 1 day engaged view is where people get a bit confused. That's basically where someone's viewed your ad and still converted. So they might have actually gone to Google and they can still convert. Facebook is very smart with that now. It's able to track that. And then you've got incremental attribution. I leave all conversions on and you can apply that. And so then when you see data, you'll see usually from left to right that your ROAS and cost of purchase will be improved, but this is where you want to also have custom columns. Now, it depends on your business and your goals, of course, but the main ones, cost per click, unique link clicks, unique CTR, cost per unique link click as well. I like to look at that. Total amount of add to carts. You can look at your total checkouts, your ROAS, return on ad spend. So if you spent $2 to get a $10 purchase, then you'll get a 5 ROAS, right? Because you've spent $2 and you've gotten $10 back from that ad, which means you've gotten a 5 times return on ad spend. And then you got your purchase total amount. You can add all of these as well. So, you can even add, let's have a look at attribution settings as well. And you can see that there's a lot of data that you can look at when it comes to this. And as you get more data, it'll be easier and easier. As you select different campaigns, see how it says selected, so you can select that. So if you've got multiple ad sets and you want to select and you want to see the ads within those ad sets, then you'll see all of that as well. Okay, so those are your custom columns and that's your setup. If you want to delete, we won't delete the creative we made, we'll delete another example. You go delete, there you go. You can review and publish, which means once you've done all your drafts, because default will go into draft, you might be like, okay, I'm good, publish, done. There you go. Right, so it doesn't publish ever by default unless you tell it. Otherwise, I strongly recommend just setting things in draft and then mass enabling it publish, because then you're just sort of doing all your prep work and you're just sort of publishing it that way. If you want to duplicate, this is where you duplicate and you choose original, existing, or new campaign. So again, if it's original, you put it there and you might make a variation. You want another in the existing campaign. This is where naming conventions really come into place, or a new campaign if you're wanting to run various XYZ tests. Okay, very straightforward. You can also preview the ad from here as well. As I said, you can also duplicate it from here. Quick duplication is just, it doesn't give any of those settings. So if I just go Control D, it'll just duplicate by default within the existing campaign, within the existing ad set automatically. And just gives a dash copy on the end, okay? And again, you can copy, paste, and do all of that. Most of the time, you'll just duplicate and manually do it. That's what most people do. Then you got your filter options up here as well. This is where you can, your filter. So if you're running a lot of campaigns and ad sets, you might want to easily filter, like if I got 50 campaigns disabled, I just want to only look at the ones that are enabled with enabled ad sets and enabled ads. It just narrows down your dashboard. All it is just filters. So you can look at all of these different filters. The main ones you'll want to do is, let's say, like, you might want to find a specific campaign. So campaign name contains campaign. You can see that I've run some in the past for various tests and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much all you need to do. Lastly, we're going to go into the other most important. We've got advertiser settings, you've got your events manager, and you've got audiences. I don't do much ads reporting. That's more for agency. I spend most of my time here. Advertiser settings will quickly go into that. This is where you can see an overview. So you can do your value rules, are you verified, your account controls, audience segments, beneficiary, that's for various legal related matters, data sets and pixels, and even your name template. So you could set up your name templates here for your campaign, ad set, and ad. Right? And you can use dynamic variables. So you can see, like I've done an example here, Ricky Agency Objective, which is the objective that's pulled from the campaign. So if it's sales, it'll put sales. And then, so you can see that what it's done here as an example, Ricky Agency, it's a reach campaign and it's a CBO on. There you go. So that's sort of an example. You can set that. It might save you some time and applies a nice naming convention. We're in now the events manager. And here you can see it gives tasks to complete, so for conversion tracking, API. As I said, if you're running Shopify, you won't have a lot of these issues, but it's important to understand these things. You can show all these events. Obviously, I've only had a few events, so none of it's relevant, right? It's all just testing. You can look at data sources. So this is where you see your pixels. And in your pixel, this is where you can, either you get a dev or you learn this yourself. I recommend learning more yourself, where you can see the events and you can, narrow it down and see the individual events and see the matching score, right? And so you can see, is it getting it correct? And you can run troubleshooting. You can see 4.4 out of 10 is pretty low. You want to probably aim for an 8. You can see diagnostics that review domains. You can see history of it as well, where it was shared from. And you can also see settings. So this is where you can link it to like a mobile app. You can see the ID you can share within that, data restrictions. Most of this you don't need to look at. And as I said, most importantly, you can do tests. So the main thing you'll want to do is confirm that your events are set up and confirm it's properly, that your website events, right? So most of you will be website, and so you put in a website. Pardon me. And so you want to test it, and you'll see, like, you'll click the link and it'll show you, are the events firing? And if not, you need to do some work there. As I said, with most of it with Shopify, you won't have this issue, but with more and more with AI, data integrity is becoming really, really important. So I recommend looking into this. Firstly, as I said, look at the matching score, see that. You can look at the view details of it and look further into it, right? Is where I would be looking. So when I have a look at this, I would have a look further into it. I'm not going to do that today though, but I just wanted to show you that's the important thing. I said about custom conversions, that's where you can make that. And this is where you got your partner integrations like Shopify. Okay, so we've shown pretty much everything. The last thing I haven't shown is the audiences. So I've done this in previous videos, of course, as well. So I'm going to just skim over this. You've got custom audiences and then you've got lookalikes, right? A custom audience is basically, all it is it's a filter. You're filtering through your data from your pixel and making it into an audience. You can use it for remarketing, and you can even use it for cold, honestly, as well. You can use it in a number of ways, but 98% of the time it's just used as a remarketing audience. And then you can also use it to make lookalikes. So I've got an example here, a few examples I've done from previous videos. So to make it, mainly you've got website, customer list, video, Instagram account are the main ones you will use, especially in e-commerce. So when you go website, you go next. You choose the pixel, make sure, because you might have multiple pixels, all website visitors in this case, or I might choose view content because it's more reliable data. The look back window can be up to 180 days, and you can refine by URL parameter. Now I have parameter for Shopify. I use content ID, the end URL, and then I'll put in the content ID. You can put in multiple. Remember I said earlier in the video, you can make your custom audience to include the inclusions and exclusions. That's where you can do this here. As I said, my preference is I just prefer to make one audience per custom audience, and then I can do it in the ad set level. The other advantage I find is then when you make lookalikes, you're really, you're keeping it very simple, right? But as I said, the more data you have, the more granular you will become. But as a beginner, you just want to focus on that. Give it a name. I just put CA for custom audience name. And then you create. Once it's created, it'll then make the audience. You can see I've made a few here, and you can see I've made a sample CSV as well, that where you import from your CRM, like your email marketing tool, for example. And then what you can actually do is you can then create a lookalike. You can create a lookalike. A lookalike, again, is just people that are like the people from that audience. So let's say that, whatever that looks like. If you have data, it'll obviously show up here. And then we're just going to choose location. I'm just going to choose Australia in this case. And then you want to choose, by default, you choose 5, but this is where what it does, 0 to 1. The closer it is to 0, the more aligned it's meant to be to the custom audience. The 10% is, it's used it, but it's pretty broad in nature. 0 to 1 is meant to be the closest, but you need to test all of them because you really don't know. I've had many where like 4 to 6 work. And you can see all the audience sizes that it will present, right? So if I were to change it to United States, or add in United States, pardon me, because you can add in multiple countries. There you go, 3 million people, massive boost, okay? And again, you can make these lookalikes to include all the countries, and you can control it at the ad set level with the targeting. So when it comes to making lookalikes, if you're targeting multiple countries and you have enough data, just remember if you're targeting multiple countries, you don't have enough data, it will fail. So generally I make a lookalike per country because that's just, again, my personal preference, okay? So that pretty much shows you everything you really need to know in the ads manager, right? This is what 98% of people are spending their time on between all of this. I have a playlist at the end of this video. You can go check it out. I do hope this was helpful. Any questions, just comment down below or send me an email. Otherwise, if you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely day. Take care and goodbye.